Welcome back to Potions and Processing. I'm your host, Raven White. In last week's episode, I had a couple minor crash outs, and I also went over some different kinds of abuse that you may encounter. Here are a couple of things I want to clear up really fast. Number one, you do not have to encounter every single kind of abuse to have an abusive relationship. Number two, just because he or she or them do not hit you does not mean it's not abusive. Physical abuse is not the end all to an abusive relationship. I see this a lot in conversations involving abusive relationships. Emotional manipulative abuse gets a free pass all of the time, and I'm here to tell you that's not okay. If they are comfortable verbally abusing you, they will be comfortable with hitting you. At some point down the line, they will be comfortable putting their hands on you if they are okay talking to you in a harmful, destructive manner. Now, I get it. We can all be assholes. Sometimes I am. Sometimes you are. It's the human condition. I'm talking about repetitive behavior, and you can go back and watch my last video for more on that. But I really wanted to clear that up because I see this harmful conversation all of the time, and frankly, I'm kind of over it. You do not have to be hit to be in an abusive relationship, and you do not have to tolerate verbal humiliation, verbal manipulation, anything. You don't have to do it. You don't have to put up with it. One more thing that I want to clarify really quick. Someone commented this on a TikTok clip I had posted, and in that clip, I was saying that tact and having tact, there is no place for that when it comes to talking about abuse and domestic violence. And they said, what if you are protecting yourself from that? What if you are protecting yourself from narcissistic people that you know will retaliate? And I want to say, and I did elaborate further in my last video to say that you don't owe anyone your story, and you should always tell your story within your own time. Further to say, don't talk if you're not safe. It has taken me 15 years to tell my story. It has taken me a very long time to even talk about many of the things that have happened to me, and I still can't really fully speak on it. I can't name names. I can't really give you details I wish I could give you because it's just not safe for me to do so. I can only tell you the basic things, and it's not basic, but do you understand what I mean? I have to still protect myself in a legal sense to keep these people from coming after me because they don't want to take accountability for what they did. So please, always protect yourself. Now, let's move on into today's topics. Here is your screen magic. Here are the things we're going to be talking about today so that you can protect yourself and go forward with knowledge. We are going to be talking about some interesting things. When I was in the cage, I was transitioned into a private Christian school. Can't name the school, don't want the school coming after me, but it was a private Christian academy. I was homeschooled from first to third grade, and then I went to a private Christian academy for fourth and fifth grade. And I was in the cage during the time that I went into fifth grade. I went into fourth grade during the Christian academy. I went into the fourth grade, and I was severely behind when I went into it. Now, I don't want to bash on homeschooling because I am pro homeschooling when it is done in a diverse, informed situation where the kids have access to proper homeschooling. I was not. Okay? I was not. I was homeschooled on a very restricted faith-based curriculum that was an Amish Mennonite culty situation. And I'm not slamming the Amish Mennonite faith, but it was a blended curriculum based off the cult that I was a part of, and they only homeschooled up until 8th grade. And then you were done. All right? So let's start there. Neither one of my parents were certified homeschooling people to begin with. Not that you have to be, but they did not have any experience in homeschooling, for first thing. Secondly, they had absolutely no interest in homeschooling. The only reason that they homeschooled their kids was to keep us out of the world. Now, I know that many faith-based communities will do this to protect their children. You do you, boo. I'm always going to say that. You do what you think is best for your children. 100%, we're all just out here trying to do our best. And I want to tread carefully here because I'm not trying to insult anybody, but this is my experience, so just please bear with me. My parents had no interest in actually educating me. My reflection back on my homeschooling was a lot of my parents just leaving me up to my own devices, letting me figure things out. And maybe in the beginning, maybe they tried a little bit. I remember them kind of working with me on my homeschooling a bit, kind of helping me with my bookwork a bit. But as time went on, the interest faded, and I was kind of left to my own devices. I also, in hindsight, had a learning disability that was not addressed, that was not pursued, that was not recognized. And I know now that that is often missed in girls growing up, and it's often misidentified in girls growing up. We don't have time to get into that today. And so that was also working against me in the whole thing. When I went into fourth grade, I was behind, and the teacher knew that. And so she had to really push me to catch up with the other students, and I actively struggled. I actively struggled in a lot of different things: math, geography, history. I really excelled in reading and writing and creativity and art and things like that. That's why we're here, people. That's why I'm a writer. Those are the things I excelled in. We were transitioning more into this cult, into this culty headdress, apparel situation in between fourth and fifth grade. And so when I came back for fifth grade is when I was wearing headscarves, more modest attire, and things like that. And that is when I was also living in the cage. Now, as you'll recall, when I was living in the cage, one of the things that I did not have access to was clothing. My closet was padlocked shut. Eventually, the only clothing that was made available to me was clothing that they had picked out, my parents had picked out, washed, and put into a laundry basket that was given to me, that was eventually like put underneath the platform that they built into the wall that they put my bed on. And that was the clothing that I had for like the week or whatever. One of the first days back to fifth grade, and this is one of the biggest pressures, I think, when you're going back to school. And I didn't really have any friends at the school. I entered late, right? So all of the kids who had been going to this Christian academy, they'd already been going since like kindergarten. There were solid core groups of friends there, and I was new. I came in at fourth grade. I was already kind of weird because I was a weird homeschool kid. I was behind. I was abused already, so I had that going for me. I just didn't quite fit in. I was not part of any pop culture or music or movies or anything. I didn't have anything going for me to connect with other kids and make friends. I was weird. I was the outcast. I just didn't fit in. And so when you go back to school, you really want to make a good first impression. And that did not work out for me when I showed up for my beginning of fifth grade. Now, this wasn't necessarily like the first day of fifth grade, but I remember this was like at the beginning of the school year. I woke up. I really needed to pee. I really needed to go to the bathroom, and the door was locked, and I was pounding on the door, and no one heard me, and I had nowhere to go, and I peed myself, and I peed right into the basket of clothes because there was nowhere else for the pee to go. And I figured better for it to go there than for it to go all over my bed or all over the floor. And I figured that way it would at least be contained. We could wash the clothes. It could go in the washer, and I could get new clothes out of my closet for school the next day. Wrong. I was so incredibly wrong. So I guess that happened like late at night because when I woke up the next morning, my parents made me wear my pee clothes to school. I was absolutely mortified. And all day long, no one wanted to sit next to me. Everybody looked at me weird. And on top of that, there was another new girl in our class that year. And I thought, this is my opportunity to make a friend. She's new. I'm still kind of new. No one will want to be her friend because no one wanted to be my friend. She was kind of already picking on me, and she called me river water, river sewer water all day long. And like in a backhanded way, like, oh, river water, river sewer. Oh, it's funny. It's funny. Let's laugh at you, but you can laugh too. Who's laughing? I'm not laughing. I'm in pea clothes. I don't even remember what it was I said to them. I made up some kind of lie because I'm not going to say, oh, I pissed myself in the middle of the night because my parents wouldn't let me out of the room that they locked me in. I would love to know, like, why none of the teachers said anything. Why no one questioned why some student was walking around smelling like pee and looking like the way that I did. I would love an answer to that. But my parents told me that that was what I deserved because I couldn't hold my bladder. That was what I deserved. I deserved to be humiliated in 4th grade around all of my peers because I couldn't hold my bladder, because I was locked in a room for doing something I did not do. And I couldn't get out, and I couldn't get anyone's attention because I couldn't communicate with anybody. I could have died in that room and no one would have known. I want to remind everyone, because I was a child locked in a room in a cage. I would come home. Sometimes I would do my homework on the kitchen table because my parents wanted to make sure that I was doing my homework. Sometimes they would just send me back to my room and I would do my homework in my room, because at that point they built like a little desk into the wall behind like that little crevice behind my door. It was a very lonely existence. I lived an incredibly lonely life. I was bullied at home, I was bullied in school, and I had nobody. And I could tell nobody, because who was going to believe me? That's what I thought anyway. And somehow, still deep inside, I thought that I deserved it in some way, because that is what abuse does to you. It twists you and it makes you think that you deserve the heinous things that are being done to you, especially when you are a child and you are so impressionable. And your parent, the one person who is supposed to look after you and love you and protect you, is telling you that you deserve these things that are happening to you. What else are you supposed to believe? It's all that you know, and it was all that I knew. This was also the school that would go on to accuse me of practicing witchcraft, that would brand me as a witch, put me on school suspension, and would punish me for not doing my homework, that would actively participate in my abuse and the downfall of my well-being and my welfare, who would take the sides of my parents and who was blind to all of the things that was happening to me because of their faith, I think. Because they were blind, because they were, I don't really know. I don't really have any answers, but I want to explore it, because this is something that really truly happened to me, and I don't understand it to this day. I don't understand how all of these adults, all of these teachers, these principals let these things happen, watched me, saw me, and I wasn't the best student. And by the best student, I mean I didn't have like the best grades perhaps, but I was quiet. I was not a troublemaker. I did the best that I could with what I had. I just desperately wanted a friend. Looking back, I don't recall like being a problem student, being anything besides a desperate cry for help and intervention. In the next episode, I'm going to explore this bit about the witchcraft. It involved the new girl who came to our class. I'm also going to talk about how eventually I did go to the principal and I asked for help. And I told him a little bit about what was happening at home and what his reply was and what happened to me after that. I did not return to the Christian school after 5th grade. And I think that there was a lot of different reasons for that. Mostly because I think they were worried about being found out. My parents, I think they were worried about too much leakage of trauma. I think maybe I was starting to talk too much. There were things that were just being found out. There was a lot of really bad things that happened in that school. And there were a lot of things that were covered up in that school. And I want to talk about it because they should not have been covered up. We experienced a lot of religious nonsense with all the culty business that I experienced, but I experienced a lot of religious trauma from that school. It's still going, it's still active. I hope that it's better. We want to protect our children. We want to keep our kids safe. We want to make sure that when we send them wherever we're sending them, that they're going to be in positions where the adults are doing everything in their power to identify positions where children are at risk. Of all places to send them, I would think that a faith-based institution would be a perfect place to identify when children are at risk, when children need help, real, genuine help. But that was not the case for me. And when I went and asked for help, there was a lot of consequences that followed that turned around and backfired severely. Thank you for sitting for this episode of Potions and Processing. I have been percolating on a lot of things moving through all of this. It has been quite a journey to move through and share my story. I am grateful for every single person that watches my videos, whether you agree with me or not, because it's still one person who has spent time with me and who has still listened to me. And that means a lot because time is very valuable. We do not have a infinite source of it. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, I hope that you have a good day today. And I hope that you are healthy and happy, or at least in the best place of both of those things that you can be. And I want to remind you that you are doing the best you can with what you have. And sometimes that's fine. That is good enough. Remember, we may be different species, but we're all part of the same family. So please be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and I will see you next week.